Nah, it's just me. Sweet. Yo, I unmuted us.
Okay, good.
And we were the only participants so far. I think your phone was ringing.
Child, I'm falling asleep. What's up, boo? I haven't seen
seen
you in a
you in a
minute.
minute. Yo,
I was just
for
gonna say
real.
the same thing. I was actually really excited to
Maybe
see
the general
you.
meeting? Were you at the general meeting? But it wasn't like talking or nothing.
Yeah, no, I was at
yeah.
the general meeting, but that's
That's
just
just
it.
in and out. And then that traffic and transportation might have also been one of the last times I saw you.
Oh yeah,
That big traffic and transportation thing,
forum.
which is a great forum.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
Working. How you doing?
I'm good.
How's work?
I'm tired. Work is just, lately I've just been really just out of it.
In terms
I
of like
haven't been, like-
disillusioned with it? Or like,
Yeah, I'm just like I haven't been motivated, and normally like I can just get my stuff done.
what do you think is missing?
I think I've been on my job for too long.
How long have you been there?
8 years.
Yeah, girl.
And
Yeah,
it's just and
Yeah, 3 to 5.
it's just too long.
Dude.
And
I mean, have you looked at just what's out there maybe?
I may, yeah.
Just do that. I mean, it doesn't even mean you need to move. Just see what kind of things. There could be innovations in your role now that you might not know
Yeah.
about, and like things that are perfectly made for you. What up, Hector?
Hi Hector, you want to take yourself off? You want to put your camera on? Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yo, Hector.
Minutes.
Homie.
Right.
No, I'm gonna level that one up.
Thank you. You want to turn your camera on?
Nah.
We're intimate here, and I see that some people have joined us. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
We'll get started in maybe like 1 more minute.
Yep.
Whatever our chair calls it. Let's.
Oh shit, we can call it now. I mean, because technically we have quorum because Hector's here. It's 3 of us.
That is true.
Hey, all right. We'll call this meeting to order. It is 6:34.
Great.
Still the same. All right. Well, y'all, this is our last meeting of the year, unless we get someone that submits a license, and we can call a special one if we need to. But right now we don't have any special ones. Whereas last year we had them.
Hi, Carl.
Hey, Carl, what's going on? We
Just
definitely have quorum now. Sweet.
Yay.
Hector's on the line. Got him in on Zoom, and then Carl here, you can sign in right there. And so yeah, this is our last meeting of the year, as I was saying. We're not going to do a special session this year unless we have someone that wants to apply to get our blessing as a business into the community. And so this is a pretty, like usual, solid but light agenda. Carmen hooked us up with the Cannabis Justice and Equity initiative. Who's going to present? Are they on? Are these guys?
Nope, they're where Jeffrey is on. He did tell me, Sean. Hi, Jeffrey. I'm going to allow you to speak. How are you today? Feel free to turn your camera on if you like, but no pressure.
Yeah. You might as well bring in Dania into it all too.
Yeah.
So I have an audio option. I don't see a way to turn on my camera for you guys.
No worries. No worries.
No, that's all good.
All right.
So I know Sean said he may try to join us in person or maybe online. Do you know if he may join us or
I
we
was thinking he was coming in person,
We can flip the order of our agenda.
but I'm happy to talk about the things that we're up to. I will not be able to talk about some of it with the expertise that
No worries.
Sean or some of the other gentlemen will be. We each kind of have our own domains within CJEI, but I'll be happy to talk generally and answer questions and see how we might be able to work together on some things.
Let's flip the agenda and let's buy a little bit more time.
Yep.
So we'll start with our look back conversation. And this is actually good for you to hear, Jeffrey, because what we're doing right now is kind of a post-mortem. We started our last session in September. I mean, really, we had a session, we went like kind of year-round last year. I think we had 1 month off last year. But this is kind of a look back, basically, this conversation as to what are the things that we accomplished this session while we've been in. Like maybe what are some of the things we kind of want to do next session that starts in September. And so this would be a good, we'll just flip it.
That's great. In the tech world, we would call that a retro. So perfect.
Yeah.
Retro. Okay, great. We like that.
And Dania,
Hi.
you want to welcome yourself and tell us who you are?
Hi, my name is Dania. I was born and raised in Washington Heights, and I just found out about this particular meeting because I am actually interested in getting a license. So,
Oh, great.
so I wanted to know exactly how I would go about it. Um, when it first came out, I actually was approved because of my family and the whole that whole
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
So, so I wanted to see if now that I'm ready, like my business is up and running, I have the backing of the bank and everything else. I wanted to apply and see how that goes, but I also wanted to buy land in upstate New York and be a grower. So,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
yeah.
So you already
So
have your
I
license for retail?
I don't. That's why
Okay.
that's what I wanted to get.
Got you.
Got it.
But I
But you got
also
your
want a
business
grower's
already kind of set
license.
up in terms of like funding and things ready to go.
Right, correct.
Okay, cool.
Exactly.
I got
So
a
my
couple things.
family,
We
so my
can start
family is
there.
like they're backing me as well. So
There.
it's personal funding and banking funding.
Well,
So
let's start here because this will give us a good segue into like
Mhm.
our retrospective, because our biggest thing, like our theme this year for this committee, and Carmen was really the person that started this last year, was for session 2 we are going to focus on education on all different levels, and we're going to talk about the things that we've accomplished, places we fell short in this conversation to go. But the first place of education is one-to-one, and that's what this is. So let's start with you, and then we'll go there. So first and foremost, since you're already, are they still doing C cards? Is that done now?
I feel like they had
I think they
a
stopped.
moratorium for a second and then they stopped. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if they
yeah.
actually started again.
Okay. Yo,
Jeffrey?
what's up, Jeffrey? Hey, Hector.
He
So
has-
I don't want to step on anybody's toes
No,
here.
please.
Please
But
go
just
for it.
just a little info about me. I'm an attorney and I have hundreds of clients that I've done this for. So like this is what I do, is help people
Great.
get cannabis licenses. So I'm happy to help with, I don't want to step on any toes or do
No,
anything.
that's right.
But I'm
Listen, we are very friendly
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Listen.
Our job is to help in terms
I'm
of getting
all
these.
for the information.
yeah.
Trust
So
me.
so if you would like me to, I can shine a little bit of light on kind of where we are with applications and kind of what's happening in New York.
Yeah, to take a couple
Okay.
minutes. Take a couple minutes
Yeah.
and educate.
So the unfortunate piece of information I apologize. What's the wonderful, lovely young woman's name that has joined us?
Dania.
Dania. Yes.
Dania.
So
Sorry.
unfortunately, at the moment, there is not an application open. So the way cannabis works in the state is there has to be an open application for the kind of license that you want to get. And unfortunately, the last licensing period was in late 23. It was in the fall of 23. There is one kind of license that you can apply for right now, but it is
Right.
not a dispensary license
It's
or
a
a
grower's.
cultivation license. It's what we call a type 3 branding license.
Okay.
And all that license allows you to do is be a brand in the state and do a deal with a processor to have a brand in the state. You cannot touch the cannabis, you can't grow it, you can't sell it. All it lets you do is be a brand in the state. So that's where we are currently in New York.
So question for you, since you mentioned the branding, that's the only one that's available. Okay, perfect. So I can brand it. So if I wanted to bring in a grower from Cali and have him like be a New York resident, uh, can he, and if he has his license, can he use his license to cultivate here in New York State?
He
Where,
cannot. He would have to get a New York State cannabis cultivation license.
got it.
And Jeffrey, there's still, I mean, obviously these applications are shut down now, but there's still 8 different categories of licenses, 4 on distribution, 4 on retail, correct?
I believe it's actually 9, if I remember correctly. You might be maybe
Jeffrey, you want to join the committee, homie? Next session?
We need to get ourselves up to date, okay?
I'll be honest with you. That is part of what CJEI wanted to talk with you
Good.
about, and we
Good,
can get
good.
to that when you want to get to the point.
Sure.
You might not be remembering the co-op license. Is it possible you're not thinking of that one?
Ah, that's the one I'm not thinking of, the co-op license. Yes.
Yeah. So it's 9. Yeah.
That's the one. Wow. So Jeffrey, so when it comes to branding, right? Does that mean, okay, let me just put the business together because she already has a bunch of things in line. I just want to kind of give her a step to do what she can. So does this mean now that she can find a New York State grower, apply for a branding license, get the license, work with the grower, make the brand, and then wait until when maybe licenses for retail dispensaries or what have you open back up, and then she already has the brand ready to go? Does it work like that?
And again, I apologize. I am deep in the weeds on this, so I apologize. Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
Okay.
So a couple of things here. So first off, New York has what we call a 2-tier system. It's very similar to alcohol in that if you are on the supply side of the industry, you cannot be on the retail side of the industry.
Yeah, you can't have both
But
licenses.
don't they have that multi license where
They have
That's for the same.
No,
so it would be
she's-
like delivery and retail.
She's correct. No, she's correct. There is one license called the micro license. And the micro license is the one license where you can be what we call vertically integrated, be on both sides of the industry.
Yep.
Technically, even though the micro license may have a retail component, it is considered a supply side license. And I'm not going to go try to figure out why that's how they did it, but that's how they did it.
But supply meaning growing, right? Like
supply. Here, I'll tell you. Hold on. Supply is cultivation, processing, distribution, and micro. Those are the 4 licenses that are on the supply side of the industry.
Yep.
What was the last one? Cultivation.
Micro.
cultivation.
And the micro, yeah.
Okay.
And nursery, but they haven't given any of those out yet. The nurseries are the people that will provide seeds and clones to the retailers to sell to the public for their home grow.
Yeah, I saw that one.
So that is
retail in front of our committee. Yeah.
correct, because in the law, only the retailers have to notify the municipality that they're going to open. And the retailers are the only ones that are impacted by the opt-in or opt-out. For cultivation, processing, and distribution, nowhere could opt out of those. Those could locate anywhere that they could get a special use permit. I mean, obviously, other parts upstate, you still have to get the special use permit. But it's only the retailers where municipalities were able to opt in or opt out. And for that same reason, it's, again, very similar to alcohol. The community boards are the same places that people want liquor licenses.
Right.
And my guess is that your community board is kind of handling them vaguely similar, right?
Yep.
Right, that's we did, yeah.
Exactly. So that is the reason why it's with the community board, and it's only the retail licenses, the retail side license. Dispensary, on-site consumption, when and if that ever becomes a thing. And then the retail part of the micro license. Even though it's a supply side license, they would have to still notify the municipality. Now, back to this branding license that you're interested in, and I'm going to get a little crazy in the weeds here. So let me know if
I'm taking notes. Don't
Right.
worry about it. I'm
Right.
taking
Yeah.
notes.
It's great. So here's the deal. The way it is that the state wants to know who all of the players in cannabis in the state are. And until recently, they had no way to know who the brands were. Where was the money coming from? Who are they? What are they doing, etc. So they initially, before there was this type 3 branding license, the requirement for a brand in the state was that they had to become, and you may be familiar with this term, it sounds like you've heard a bit about this, a TPI of the processor. That is a true party of interest. It's where you have to fill out
Yes.
paperwork about who you are and where your money came from and all these types of things. They then realized that a lot of the processors, which is who the brands would have to do these deals with, did not want these brands becoming their TPIs. They did not want that. So they then created this type 3 branding license, which there will, in theory, be an unlimited number of. Like I said, it's currently available now. And all it lets you do is get to the same place you would be as if you were a TPI of the processor. And that is allowing you to have a brand in the state. It does not allow you to grow cannabis. It does not allow you to process cannabis. It does not allow you to retail cannabis. It was simply a way for the state to find out who the brands are in the state without requiring them to become a TPI of the processor that they're doing their brand deal with.
Pretty much is like the BOI for businesses. Like they want to know.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. Okay, cool.
Well, it's a place to start. And
No, absolutely. The branding is fine, but if I can't
But
have
hold
my
on. If you eventually want to do the retail as a non-micro, you can't have this type 3 branding license because the type 3 brand, the type 3 branding license is a supply side license. It's a processing license. So you can't be on the retail side if you do that license. This is why none of the dispensaries are able to sell their own branded cannabis products.
Right.
We can all agree that it's crazy. I'm just simply saying this is the way they've decided to do it for now.
So pretty much I can have my brands, right, of cannabis.
Yes.
And I can sell it to other retailers, other dispensaries.
No, you cannot. The processor you've done a deal with can sell it to a distributor who can then sell it to the retailers. And it is possible for processors to get a distribution license so that your processor that you did a deal with could do that distribution. But that type 3 branding license doesn't let you touch the cannabis or do any of those activities. The only thing you can do is do that brand deal with the processor. And again, it's a way to do that without becoming a TPI of the processor.
Let me ask you something now that I understand this, because I'm with Denya, right? Did I pronounce that correct? Denya?
Yes. Yeah.
Denya, the first time, right? Cool.
You said it right the first time, didn't you? Yeah.
So like I had a startup. I was CEO for like 3 years. So like my brain's always going like this. So let me ask you something. So basically, like, and Valeska put this perfectly. It's kind of like a franchise. So you don't have to deal with the logistics of distribution. If a processor loves your brand, they're going to want to distribute it themselves. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right.
So if
not just distribute it, but actually make it.
So then that's my question though. But that's my question though, because there's nothing. So say I found a grower with an amazing strain. Can I bring that grower, have that like, say, exclusive to me, to the processor that I have a TPI with, and make that brand? So that way, that brand is the only brand on this particular strain.
Exactly. So
in theory, sorry, go ahead.
So these are limited. I might as well do that tomorrow.
So in theory,
I'm about to fly out to Cali,
Right, because that's like having a business without having to run the business.
That's good to go.
So in theory, yes, that would be possible. The deal would be between the cultivator, and so you would license your brand IP to the processor, and then the processor would do a deal with the cultivator to buy all their product.
It's just gonna
this is like we do fashion. This is like, so I work at L'Oreal. This is like we do fragrance. We don't
So pretty much they're paying.
businesses.
So pretty much they're
you
paying
can't-
you to use
you
their
can't do both.
logo.
No.
That's true.
Is that what
You
I'm
need the logo, you need the
understanding?
money to market it. Like if
Correct.
you can get a brand from nothing, people are going to want that brand, and then a processor will find
Thank
you
Right.
to do that brand.
Thank
But
That's
you need money to
exactly.
get that out there.
You
Is that
have
what
to-
I'm understanding? That same thing? Like
I mean,
my, let's say
$100,000
my
budget,
logo,
I-
my
Correct.
brands or whatever the case is
Yeah, like wild postings,
phenomenal.
blah blah
And
blah.
all the dispensaries want it now.
And then you have Instagram.
I don't have to touch it. I can just franchise it out and they'll have to pay me for my logo.
So I do, before everybody has delusions of grandeur here, what you've described is correct.
Okay.
The challenge is going to be, how are you going to get all the dispensaries to want to buy your brand? And I'm not
that's
saying
not a
you
problem. I
can't
live
do
in
it.
the
Marketing, baby.
Heights. I
I'm
grew
not
up in the
saying-
Heights. That's
Yeah,
fine.
I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just simply saying that is going to be the challenge. But you're absolutely correct. If you could convince every dispensary that, Jeffrey's cannabis brand is the best cannabis brand ever, and they're all dying to get it, then you're absolutely correct. The processors would come to me and say, "Hey, man, we hear your brand is the bee's knees. Everybody's got it." But how do you get that without already having the brand in the marketplace, right?
Okay.
It's kind of a chicken and egg problem.
So,
How much does it cost to get this license?
2,000.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. How much does it cost to get that license?
2,000.
2,000.
And if you're an equity applicant, it's half.
Really?
If you're what?
So how?
If you're an, and I apologize, I don't mean to be talking over people.
No.
I'll shut
This
up.
is
No.
good.
I apologize. It's me.
You said it's what half now?
If you're a C applicant, so social and economic equity applicant,
Back
Yeah.
So
in.
that's where, okay, that
No,
makes
you
sense.
would be Danae.
I'm getting that
Your-
tomorrow.
your-
How can I
your-
apply?
your
No.
application fee
Oh,
is half,
tell her
and
you know.
your licensing fee would be half, whatever
Okay.
the normal fee is.
So
So-
Danae, so check it out real quick.
Mhm.
Alaska is here with us. She's a friend of the board. She's been here
We can
almost
allow
every
her to
single
introduce
year. I'll let
herself.
it, but I'm just gonna give a little intro. She's been here since we've started this task force 2 years ago at this point, right? 2 years ago?
Yeah.
So Valeska, please explain what you do in the neighborhood, because
Yes.
Danae, this could help you in the process.
Yes, talk to me.
Valeska here. I'm the
Hi.
cannabis manager for the Washington Heights Business Solutions Center. We
Mm-hmm.
the Cannabis NYC team. So we were trained for all the licenses, and if you're in the part of this community board,
Mm-hmm.
email me as soon as possible.
Let's exchange emails.
Oh yeah, they made me
We can-
fill
we
out a
can write it in the
document
group
and
chat.
everything.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we'll put
Yeah.
Valeska's name in the. We'll put Valeska's contact
info.
info in the group chat.
Okay, because I think they made me
Yeah.
fill out a like a pretty much an application when I went them last week sometime. They made me they gave me a form to fill out to be part of the board. So I think, is that what we're discussing here?
She's not a board member. She came to this meeting to learn more.
No, that's
Yeah,
fine,
yeah,
but
yeah.
she's part of the community.
Yeah, she's part of the community. You're in Washington
12.
Heights, right? You're in
Because I
12.
cover Washington
Yeah.
Heights.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, because technically she covers by district line, and within our community board is the district line that Valeska covers.
Oh no, I'm definitely
you're within our
close
district.
to the heart.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're definitely in
I
there.
didn't mean part of it.
Yeah.
No, I actually got applied when it first came out, and like a ding dong, I didn't have everything in place as far as business. I had the money, but we didn't have everything in place with the business, and that's where it got.
No better time than start today. Yo, what's your email address, Valeska?
No, it's too long. So I
Yeah,
have to-
she can write it on a piece of paper and I'll type it in.
Word.
So that we don't do that. I do have a,
It is
Jeffrey
very
or
long.
Valeska, any of you can answer this. I have a quick question. Do you guys have any insight into how many people are pursuing this type 3 license? Like, where are the numbers? Where's the data? How do we know?
A ton.
Do you have any idea?
Yeah, so I've helped people fill out probably 36 applications like this. There are currently somewhere between 500 and 600 brands in New York.
Oh.
Wow. And that number is absolutely going to decrease.
Really?
One of the things we're seeing now. So you got to think about retail. And look, I've been getting high since Reagan. I love the cannabis industry. I love all this kind of stuff that's going on, but it's still retail. And the same rules that apply to retail are going to apply to this. So when you're a store that only has 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 square feet, there's a limit to the number of SKUs that you can carry effectively in that store.
Yep.
And it's way less than 500 or 600. It's
Yep.
probably a dozen or two at the most.
Wow.
So what you typically see early on in an industry like this is there's hundreds and hundreds of brands, and a lot of the stores try to carry too many of the brands, and then they figure out what sells and what doesn't. And if anybody's ever worked retail before, you know it's the reorder. It's not that first order that the store did, it's
Right.
the reorder. And the stuff that didn't sell isn't going to get reordered, and the stuff that did sell will get reordered. And that's how they winnow the brands. And just over time, this is absolutely what's going to happen here, is that the number of brands will winnow simply because there's not enough retail footprint space to have all of them. There's just not.
Man.
Is that why the application process is like closed for the moment? Because there's so many.
So it's not for the brands. It is for the
No.
other licenses. The branding license is currently available right now. You could apply for that
Okay.
one right now. The reason with the other ones is that what often happens in every other state that is legalized so far, and I see no reason why New York isn't going to fall into this trap as well, is that you over license in very specific ways, and then that hurts the market.
Right.
And the biggest way that this ultimately happens is in the cultivation. You get to a point where there's too many cultivation licenses, there gets to be too much weed grown in the state, and then the price collapses, and that kills everybody in the whole value chain. New York is trying to prevent that, and so that's one reason why we don't see a lot more applications right now. The other reason, which is really getting into the weeds, is they got way too many applications, and the way they've been doing it so far is they basically, if you filled out the application right, you got a license. And they said via a guidance, not via a regulation, that they were only going to give one license to every group that applied, even though you could apply for 3. And there was a big lawsuit that just got a decision a couple weeks back where the judge says you couldn't do it via guidance, you had to do it via regulation. So now the office is going to have to go back and probably review everybody's second and third applications.
Wow.
And probably give them all licenses. And this is even before, you guys have probably heard there's this December queue out there that they haven't even looked at yet, which in fact is enjoined in another lawsuit from them even reviewing it this time. And you've got 4,000 applicants in that queue that haven't even been looked at yet.
Yeah.
So we think there's only going to be around 2,000, 2,500 dispensaries in the entire state. And they've probably got applications for 6,000 to 9,000 in their plate right now.
Yo.
So it's a mess. It's a real mess.
Yo.
So, yes, ma'am. So, question, because this is, I'm trying to figure out, okay, so my business, for instance, I want to hire my brother, uncle, whomever, whatever. Can they get licenses for different aspects of cannabis? And
So
that could be the,
yeah. So I need to be careful here because we are starting to border on me giving you legal advice, but this stuff is pretty
That's all wasn't legal
straightforward.
advice?
But
This is
just
clean advice?
at some point,
Yes.
at some
We
point,
know.
you do need to speak with your own attorney about this. But let me
Right.
kind of give you what the general rules are.
I'm trying to avoid that $10,000 retainer. So talk to
No,
me.
I get you, and I do a weekly show on LinkedIn called "Ask Me Anything About Cannabis Legalization in New York," which you're welcome to join. It's every Wednesday at 4:20 on LinkedIn. I'm happy to drop that info in the chat if you want to enable
Yes,
the chat
please.
for me.
Okay.
But
Jeffrey,
let me answer the question just real quick because I do like to answer the questions when asked. I apologize. Just that the way the rule works now, an individual and their spouse are both TPIs in the same business, but like a brother would not be. So you could get a retail license and your brother could get a supply side license.
That's
You
all
could
I need to
not
know.
invest in each other's licenses, but you could each separately have them.
Got it. Okay. But they need to be open eventually. So the only one that's open right now
Is
is
that type 3 branding?
type
That's
3
correct.
branding.
That's right.
pretty much is our brand at this point. So we
That's
can,
all you could do.
right, that's all we
That's
can
it.
do.
And that one, again, does not let you touch the cannabis or grow it
Right.
or sell it or do anything. That's correct.
And
Jeffrey, could I ask you something?
Yes, sir.
So now, with respect to the dispensing licenses,
Yes.
how long does it take to process an application, like by the regulations? Number one, and number two, what's the rate of acceptance?
Yeah.
What's the rate of approval of each application?
Okay. First question first. The office is unbelievably understaffed. So under normal processing times, it should be weeks to a month. But we're not under normal processing times. And it can take weeks, it can take months. The application, as you know, was all the way back at the end of 23. They're still not done with the November queue yet. They are still processing, and they haven't even gotten to the December queue yet, which is where there's 4,000 provisional applications. The 2,000, 2,300 in the November queue, they are finally wrapping them up probably in the next couple of months here. And that application closed back in December of 23. So when they're done, it's going to probably have taken them 2 years.
So
To answer your second question, and remind me what the second question was, the acceptance rate.
Yeah, the rate of approval.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, different states do their applications differently. Some are what we call competitive applications, where people put in 300, 400, 500-page applications. They talk about their expertise, their experience, all the money they have, etc. New York did not do it that way. New York's application was literally a lottery. If you filled out the application correctly and they got to your application, you got a license.
And so the application process from application through decision, up or down decision. So there is no time.
100%. It
It's
sounds like it's
open-ended.
100%.
It's open-ended.
Yes, it shouldn't be. And at some point, it's lawsuit worthy. It's Article 78 worthy, saying you're not doing your administrative job. But they have a lot of leeway in that. And they got a lot of applications. Like I said, total retail applications, they probably got like 9,000.
Oh.
And you're understaffed. We all know what's going on with budgets in this country. We all know the state of New York is about to lose a lot of money. And where are they going to look to take this money from? The staffing of places like OCM. So I expect this to get worse, if not better.
So finally, do you know of any Article 78 on this matter?
On how quickly they are processing the applications?
Or any other aspect of the process?
Yeah, there's time. I'm about to file 3 Article 78s myself. I'll give you an example. Do you know what I'm sure you do. You know what proximity protection is, correct?
Yep.
I have a client that was given proximity protection in March. That we made the conditional lease a full lease. We built out the store. We were ready to open in June. And week before Memorial Day, the OCM wrote us and told us they made a mistake and they shouldn't have given us proximity protection.
Damn.
oh my God, that's insane.
That's an Article 78 out the wazoo, sir.
Yep.
All right, so check it. I do want to kind of continue to move this agenda. Jeffrey, not to cut you off because you're the man.
No, cut me off.
But this is perfect.
I want to get going here.
But
Yeah.
I also see Sean here, and I know that we flipped the agenda, so I do want to have the conversation on our progress for education, because I do like to get folks out at 7:30. I got 2 kids at home. Like I like to keep it an hour with the meeting. But this has
before we
been
do that,
amazing.
Jeffrey, can you please add your contact information,
Yes.
including your email, phone number?
So for me, it says the chat is disabled. If you'll enable the chat for me, I'll drop it in there.
Oh, that's okay.
And I'll send you a link to my show on Wednesday, and it's every Wednesday.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
please.
Plug that show,
Good.
dude, and I'll definitely plug it on my social media too, man. Yeah, throw that URL in
You
there.
should be able to
It's
check
so
if the
good.
chat works for you now.
Everyone should be there.
All right. Yes,
Well,
I am
Well,
good.
it's on LinkedIn.
It's on
It's on
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn,
And he has his
right.
own page, his own LinkedIn page just for that.
De-
It's
de-
so,
definitely throw it in
You know
there.
that?
Good.
yeah, I'll join every Wednesday when I
Wow.
can, obviously.
Okay.
So,
But
Any way that I can make an appointment if I wanted to apply for the
Yeah,
type
you please email him directly because we want to
Directly?
move on with the
yeah,
agenda.
So check it. I'm just gonna move it.
Thank you.
So this is the part about just like the board members having a conversation on what we've done this year. As we already kind of just talked about, education was the theme for this year. Since we had 3 new cannabis dispensaries open up in our neighborhood, we wanted to make sure that we are helping every organization there is to help normalize the conversation of cannabis in our neighborhood since it's so new. We did a bunch of things, and I'll start listing them off. One, we worked with CUNY to do a Washington Heights, Inwood, Northern Harlem Washington Heights, Inwood really, survey on sentiment in our district. They presented those findings in March. Really, really fascinating stuff. I'm sure maybe Jeffrey Valeska, you've probably seen it, maybe not ours, but you've seen maybe
yours
CD9's.
is awesome.
But
They're
what's really good about it is that there's not a lot of negative sentiment in our neighborhood. There's just a lot of non-education, and so that's why I think Carmen definitely hit the nail on the head at the beginning of the year that we should be talking about education. So that's what kicked us off. We've done a few
Just
things.
to plug really
Please.
quickly, if you haven't seen that meeting, it's available on YouTube.
Thank
and you
you.
can find it. It will be our March meeting.
Yes.
And then you can see the presentation.
All of our
there.
meetings are on YouTube. Thank you for
Right.
that, Carmen. Thank you so much. And I would say, like, definitely, Danae, if you're interested, go back through our meetings. You should take a look at some
The
of the meetings
December?
where the December meeting. You
Where
should
we had
definitely
applicants.
look at the
January?
June meeting
January.
from last year.
Yes,
Well, yeah, those are the bad ones. But like, look at the ones where we approved Happy Monkey, for instance. That was in, I think that was in like June of last
Yeah,
year. I
I
think it was
think
like
it
the
was-
last
yeah,
one
it was the
before.
last meeting.
So take a look
They
at
were
June's last
present-
year.
They were presented in January, right?
They were presented in February.
Oh.
And then
okay.
we got it, I think we got it through like around June. It's around there.
Right.
Take a look
Oh,
at the ones
okay.
where we approved Happy Monkey. That's a good one. And then to Carmen's point, take a look at the one in December where we approved our 4th in this neighborhood, which was a very different mood, but it was still approved. And you can look at the general meeting if you want to see how that went. We had the general. But all these things being said, we take this education, like the CUNY study, we brought it to the general board meeting. We wanted to participate with Happy Monkeys 420 event, but they were not able to have it in the way that they wanted to at La Marina, aka the Hudson. So they didn't have any rooms for tables, so we weren't able to do that. And then we had the May 9th with I forgot the name of her group.
Annette's group.
Annette's group.
I don't remember.
On that one though, unfortunately, I didn't have childcare, so I had to keep the kids because my wife is out of town, and I missed that one even though I had the stuff. So that was on me.
Exposure, the
I think it's high exposure. High exposure. But
Cannabis
it was at Barrico
education.
College.
I just
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was there.
Maripua.
You're supposed to be
I
nice
was
to me.
supposed to be. I know I was supposed to be there, but my wife was out of town. I couldn't get childcare, so I completely
No
failed
worries.
us on that one. That was on me, and I talked to Ned. I felt so bad. I showed up at like 5 when they ended. I was like, "Yo, anything I can do, help clean up anything," but couldn't make it work. But some other educational things we've done. It just escaped me. CUNY, Bop Out, and there was like another thing we did too. What was it?
The tabling event.
No, there was like another educational thing outside of CUNY that we did. Did we do? No, we didn't do a
No,
forum.
because we
We
didn't do
didn't do a
it.
forum this year.
Happy Monkey.
Yeah, though
We
that was the
didn't get a
420
chance-
event
yeah,
that we
we
were
didn't get
able
a chance to
to
do that.
attend, right? So really, like the only thing, and this is why we wanted to have this conversation because we started off the beginning of this year being like, what can we do in the neighborhood? As we all know, it's kind of slow to take in our neighborhood for many different reasons. Businesses, landlords, like that is a big piece of this. But also, like, there's just not a lot of events, and these 2 events I think were the only events in our neighborhood for cannabis, right?
Yeah, lately, yes.
Yeah, I mean, like lately,
In the
yeah.
neighborhood, yeah.
So maybe it's not only like us, it's also the supply for like what can we attach to? Because we don't have money. By the way, this is a volunteer organization. We don't have money to throw our own events. We have to be a part of an event to show up, and there's just not a lot of events. That's maybe in the summertime.
Yeah, it could be.
Do you know anything going on in the summer?
Cannabis NYC has lift-off events they're mostly in Harlem,
Okay,
but I feel like it's a way for you to reconnect with the community,
Okay.
invite the community over.
do you have a contact over there?
I'm going to be part of it.
Oh, sick,
So it's July 19th
Okay.
by the state building, the Adam Clayton Powell.
Okay.
From
25th and
11 to 5.
okay.
I can read you, but I don't have.
And is that like a thing they do like on a monthly basis or like? Is
No,
that
this
just, like,
will
once in a
be
while?
like, before used to be like a cannabis parade.
Mm.
So this is like the substitution of it.
Okay.
Because,
So it's a single event then?
it's one event,
It's a one-day event.
yeah,
Mm.
but you can invite the community.
I mean, that would probably be more of a Manhattan Borough President event, because that's like all Northern Manhattan.
Yeah,
community.
around here, the only thing that I know,
Yeah,
it is, Happy Monkeys doing
they're doing something else?
they're every Tuesday from 7 to 10,
Okay.
they're doing community,
So maybe I'll talk to Vlad, see if we can just like set up a table outside the store if there's like a slow week in the summer or something.
industry night, that's what it's.
Industry night.
Industry night.
Industry night,
I was
okay.
like, what was it? Industry night.
Yeah, I'll holler at Ramon too, to like see if we can get involved with that. So like, we just haven't had a lot of things to get into, but I think that a lot of the cannabis players in the area know that CB12 is here to support.
I think
Sure.
that one of the things that we could do better at, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure, I welcome all opportunities or any suggestions on how we can really get people to start coming to these meetings. I think that that's really, when we start having a bigger crowd and more people
Correct.
even just like being on Zoom or I don't know if it's just showing it on our newsletter or just continuing to make the announcements.
yeah.
But really getting people to attend our meetings would be very helpful because my goal, I hope that at some point we can actually host a forum and bring all these people together so that people can be educated. Like what are the type of licenses? Like someone like Dania can actually come, or people that may just be vaguely interested, and who can we connect you to, right? So that we can be those middle persons to really connect the people that may be interested, but just have no idea where to start.
Well, I mean, forum,
And I think-
we've done really big, well-attended forums in the past.
Right,
Let's
so
just
that's
do
what
another
I'm saying.
one. We didn't do
So
one this year.
we
Let's
can
do one
just
next
start.
year.
Hi, how are you?
How's it
Welcome. You're a
going?
new community board 12 member, right?
We met last
Ah, you're doing the
nice
board?
to meet you. Yes.
My name
welcome.
is Lisette.
Hi, Lisette. Thank you
Lisette?
so much for joining us. Just have a seat on this table.
Yeah, yeah. Is this your committee? Did they put you on us?
No.
They
Oh.
told me to join each, and I went to the
Oh, cool,
old
cool.
location that I
You're doing the
went
road
last-
show.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Yeah.
Welcome. Have a seat. So yeah, I think if we can target
Okay.
some kind of
Let's do a forum
forum,
next year.
for like maybe October, like right before the
Okay.
holidays, like
Yeah.
November.
Okay,
I'm
I love
thinking
it. Let's do
that's
it.
enough time. where We
Okay.
can connect over, start reaching out to the
Done.
stakeholders that we know. Someone
getting
like
people is just about
Jeffrey,
promotion.
Sean, Valeska. We'll
It's just
bring in the
about promotion.
dispensaries.
Let's do
And
it.
that's one thing. And then the other thing too that I was hoping that we get a chance to really do, and maybe also invite the public to this, which we haven't gotten a chance to do, is do a tour of all of the dispensaries. So kind of like, how
Well, dispensary
CB12,
walk, I can get down. with that.
yeah, a dispensary walk, how
That would be
CB12, we have
awesome, too.
our uptown tours, but we can actually go there, collectively.
From
And
Linwood to
also,
160 something.
it doesn't have to be on the same day, maybe like two
I
in a
love these
day
ideas,
and like
Connie.
two. So I think
I love it.
these are things that we
Maybe on
can
a
possibly
weekend,
start
like-
doing in the fall, but as you all
Okay,
online
summer's
hear
probably
us.
better.
Summer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Whoa, I got an idea.
Well, I
Check
don't
it,
know, I don't
check it. So if we do this forum in October, let's say early October. So this we'll have to work on it over the summer, which is cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
we
okay
don't have a
with that,
special
right.
session so far.
Right.
We had one last year, it said special session. Let's work with Catherine, put together a forum, promote it.
All right.
Make it hot. There, we promote the walk. And then we do the walk in
And like
later
the spring,
October.
or maybe.
Because I'm trying, because I wanna link the forum with the walk.
That's a
Because if
good
we're like,
idea.
yo, come back in the spring, then we're gonna lose those people.
That's
So we're
very
gonna use it,
true.
so either remove,
Like, I
so,
warned you here.
so
Yeah,
either
that's very
remove the
true.
forum,
Rabbit
like
these
into
people.
early spring, and maybe we do a 420 walk, cause it's always hard to get a 420 event going on in this neighborhood, but they can't do shit about a walk, cause it's public space on the sidewalk. So what if we did like the forum in say March, and then we did the walk 420?
That's also a good idea. So we'll just start talking about it,
Let's
but these
start,
are
yeah,
ideas.
this is our last
If
meeting going until
anyone-
September technically.
If anyone that's on the call right now, this is our last meeting, we
'Cause we don't have
will,
a special session, like
we-
unless we have business in front of us, but it doesn't, we're gonna have it.
we will reconvene again in September, the
Okay.
first Monday of
Good to
September, likely the second Monday, because I believe the first Monday is Labor Day. So we actually won't be
Right, it is this year.
here, so it will be the following, but if anyone has any suggestions, we're really looking to continue this education piece
Yeah.
into the fall. So please send us emails. I'll put my email in Noble's
We're definitely
email as
doing the
well.
forum, we're definitely doing the walk.
Yes.
We're doing that next session. The question is timing. Yeah, because the winter.
Take advantage that you have Kathy.
You know, that's what I'm thinking, like, we, like, that's the thing, it's like, you know what? Let's aim for October to do both. Maybe we just make it a cannabis weekend. We do like the forum on a Friday and we'll do the
down
walk
for
on a
that.
Saturday or something.
I also support doing the walk
So what?
sometime in the fall.
Yeah, I mean, if we just did it back to back early
Right,
October,
back to back,
it'll
right.
be, it'll be
Do
fine
the
weather.
same
Right.
day, the forum and the walk.
Well, the
No,
forum
no.
usually take place at night.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, cause in
Oh.
the daytime, it's people work, you know, that, usually
Yeah.
forums are like 7 PM plus.
Right.
So if we did the forum and the next day we did the walk, we could do a Friday, cause forums are also usually during the weekday. And so we could do a forum on a Friday night, walk on a Saturday.
Is that walk with weed? Are we smoking while we walk?
You can, yes you can.
I'm just
Yes,
checking.
you
I'm
can.
just trying to
will be.
understand what
Right.
the protocol is.
Bingo.
We'll-
Right, that is very true. I'm still really getting
We'll
used
collab
to
with
that.
public safety committee, we'll do this right, but yes, you can smoke, cause I was also on parks, I was the parks vice chair for like 3 years. You can't smoke in parks, but it was very clear you can smoke on the sidewalk of a park. So if you're walking, you know, from Sparkboro, down Broadway, past the new one that's about to open, along the park, smoke along that way, you can definitely do that, and we just stay on the sidewalks, you're fine. You can smoke anything, you can smoke a cigarette.
Okay.
Actually, and I hate to.
Oh boy, the lawyer's speaking.
So yeah.
What's up?
So I used to be in the food cart business, and it was interesting how that all worked. The sidewalks around parks are actually considered part of the park.
It's a good thing I know the Northern Manhattan Park Chair, because I was trying to get them to do the 420 Happy Monkey event when La Marina was like, nah, in the parking lot, and she was down. So like, you know that parking lot next to the Hudson? We were gonna do it there, and she was down to do it, but by that point, it was like it was the Friday before, so like we weren't able to make that work. But she's definitely down to be 420 friendly, so I'll talk to her, because the only park I'm worried about would be Fort Tryon. And that's like that walk down, because all the dispensaries are on Broadway and then Dykeman.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you just have to worry about Fort Tryon,
Correct.
and I think that she would turn a blind eye, especially if we do this right with public safety. So
Yeah, I'm just saying,
definitely doing that.
just be careful. That's all I'm saying. Is that technically the
course.
sidewalks around parks are part of the park. We knew this from the food carts. That's why the disabled veteran vendors can only be on the sidewalks around the parks, because of how the law works with that. And it's just, be careful. I'm all for people getting high everywhere. Just be careful. That's all I'm
This is,
saying.
no
I want to
worries.
introduce Sean.
This is gonna be a September issue.
Right.
But thank you, Jeffrey. We'll keep that in mind. So just to close this part of it, because I know that you gotta head over to traffic and transportation. We've talked about and had our retrospective on education this year. We've identified where we kind of want to level it up next year because the supply is kind of tight. Where we're gonna level it up is we'll start throwing our own events. We're gonna
Right.
start with the forum, and then we're gonna do a
Do a
walk, and we're gonna
walkthrough.
figure out the timing, how that all links together, all the legalities of it. We're gonna be fine. But like, that's what we're doing next year.
Great.
Hit the ground running.
I'm so excited.
Done. Head over to traffic transportation, go for it. But I
Yes.
know that Sean's here.
Yes.
And Carmen brought
so
in
quickly.
Sean.
Hi, Sean. Thank you
Hi.
so much for joining us. Sean is here today with the Cannabis Justice and Equity Initiative. It is a nonprofit organization that is hoping to work with impacted communities to make sure that they're doing a lot of training and education so that these impacted communities have access to economic opportunities in New York City's or New York's cannabis industry. I hope I got that right, or
did.
some of it
The
right.
intro.
But
Great intro.
Sean will talk to us more about what they're doing, how they hope to partner with Community Board 12, and how else, we can have you really join us. As you hear, we're looking to have more educational opportunities here, so we'd love to partner with you. And I'm so sorry, I do have to leave,
She's
but I
like-
will follow up. I was just waiting for you to hop on and for me to do this.
Awesome. So Carmen, thank you so much, and apologies everybody I couldn't be there in person. As you can see, I'm still in the office, so be it with a very
No
nice
problem.
view.
And I'm so sorry, just before we go, are you going to share your screen, I assume?
No,
Maybe-
I'm not.
Okay.
I don't need to share
Hey,
screen.
keep the conversation on.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you, Carmen.
All right, I see you. I'm so sorry.
Thanks, Carmen. No, you're
Thanks,
good.
Carmen. So I'll just make this very quick. I think you guys have already been introduced to my colleague at CJEI, which is Jeff Hoffman. He's amazing. He knows every player in the
Absolute
state.
boss.
Yeah, Jeff is fantastic. I couldn't do this without him. So that is definitely my co-pilot here. But essentially the reason why we wanted to reach out is because exactly what you guys were just talking about at the end. So I'll just try to make this quick. The forums that you guys are talking about, the walks that you guys are talking about, that ties in exactly what we're doing here at CJEI. What we're trying to do is the thing that I think is being lost in terms of how we're thinking about the cannabis industry and growing this, pun intended. Essentially, we realize not everybody's going to open up a dispensary, right? That's way too costly. The license and all that stuff is just a mess. But what we can do is we can get people in the ground floor, get them in through the door and work their ways up. And so what we can see in 5, 10, 15 years from now is that our people from our communities are actually running these businesses. They're actually finding a way to get some equity and some skin in the game here. So one of the things that we've seen from one of our classes that we've already graduated here is one of the guys there is now general manager of a dispensary, right? Now he has decision-making power. And that has a ripple effect to our community in terms of who they hire, who they don't hire, and if they open up new stores, where that location is going to be. So what we want to do here at CJEI in partnership with CB12 is to reach out to the community, start educating folks about the laws and about the policies in place, and obviously get their voice to be heard here with all the stakeholders, but also start educating them about the different ways that they can get into the cannabis industry and start building that bridge from where they're at now to where they ultimately want to get. So if they want to do dispensary, if they want to do manufacturing, if they want to do distribution, if they want to do retail, et cetera, they should come to us. And what we do is we offer them a free, I'm gonna stress that, a free 16-week course in which they learn the ins and outs of the cannabis industry. They learn the manufacture, they learn the distribution, they go to those places, they meet with those owners, they meet with all the elected officials as well who are supporting cannabis, the end of cannabis prohibition. And so our job is to make sure that we get our people from where they're at to where they want to be. And this is a great way, I think, to build that bridge. So you guys have the people in the community that we should be reaching out to. So we're coming to you hat in hand saying, who is interested in this path that we're offering for many folks that want to get in the game and want to do it the right way. So that's all I got.
Are y'all a nonprofit?
We are a nonprofit.
Wow.
I was just going to ask, how is this program financed?
Right now, it's through our pockets, and my pockets are looking a little skinny. But it's a labor of love, and hopefully in due time, because we know we have some issues with the federal not being legal, right? So it's hard to get loans. But we've been doing a lot of this, pretty much all of it, I should say, out of our pockets.
Okay.
Is there grant work? Like, does New York State have a grant or any other? Like, I mean, obviously federal ain't gonna help here, but there's grants for this.
Sure. So for both the city and state, there are grants. They're incredibly competitive. We have yet to win very lucrative grants, but we've won a couple. So that has helped offset some costs, but it's not a ton, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and look, if you ever need, like, I mean, obviously you probably have everyone that wants to help you, but if you ever want like a letter from the Cannabis Taskforce of CB12 to help you in any grant, you just let us know.
Yeah,
we certainly will. And I forgot to
Absolutely.
add the most important part, hence why me and Jeff are on as well. So one of the things that we do different than any other nonprofit, especially as it relates to cannabis, we also offer free legal services. So we know a number of people have gotten felony convictions and even some misdemeanor convictions, which should be expunged. Part of what we do here is we offer free legal services, right? Some people would obviously have to sign a retainer, but we offer that legal advice to people that may be dealing with some criminal issues. They most likely are related to cannabis, but don't necessarily have to be. And our job is to make sure that the people that come into our realm, into our arm, are protected, right? And we can do everything in our power to make sure that we get rid of that proverbial scarlet letter that's following so many people around, and just make sure that they don't have to fear, looking over their shoulders that something from way back is going to come up and bite them. So that's what our responsibility is as far as the Justice Lab is concerned, which is under the CJEI umbrella. So I just want to throw that part in there. We do offer free legal services as well.
Okay, so sorry, the legal services aspect in terms of process, how does it work? Exactly what do you offer?
What do we offer? So in a nutshell here, we offer...
Just, do you represent anybody in court?
Yeah. We actually do. So we actually have a couple cases that we've dealt with already, and cases that are still pending. So we do represent people in court. We also do appeals as well. Wow. So we have one appeal that we've already have pending upstate in somewhere near Saratoga, something like that, in the 3rd department. So yeah, we have done that. We've already successfully gotten another appeal granted, essentially. I won't go into specifics, but essentially we had another appeal granted also in the third department as well. We've been in touch with both the Manhattan District Attorney's Office because we're starting in Manhattan. We've already been in touch with the President's Office. So we're trying to expand our outreach, not only to get more people to come through our workforce development curriculum, but also just in terms of getting more people to come into our sphere who may need legal counsel, may need legal advice, and otherwise can't afford it. So yeah, we're expanding our reach as much as we can here.
So like, actually that brings up a really good point, because we were just talking about the lack of events in our, CV12 district. From an outreach perspective, have you been seeing like the same drought of events around Manhattan? Like, because you can't just like, if there's not a lot of those, you can't really show up to find ways to find clients in other ways. How are you doing that?
So I've seen it two ways, and Jeff can certainly, jump in here. I've seen it two ways. I've seen some droughts when it just hasn't been when it has been poorly communicated in terms of this is an event and this is what we offer. And that was kind of one of the points I want to bring up to you guys. It's like, what are we offering to these people? Education sounds great, but that doesn't feed anybody, and that's not always the most interesting thing. Where we've seen our most success, honestly, has been events where we have partnered with other, I guess, cannabis entities who are offering, either free or, offering their products, at a good rate here in conjunction with what we're trying to educate folks about. So, people tend to show up when there's weed infused gummies, weed infused foods, soaps. When there is weed or cannabis there, people tend to come out, and that seems to be a great way. It's like a little bit of a honey trap to then start educating them about cannabis, right? Everybody loves weed, but I don't think they know what they should know about the game.
Mm-hmm. How can we help best? We already talked about grants in the letter from us, but is there a way that we can help?
Absolutely. So the way I'm envisioning this, and obviously I want to get your thoughts as well, not just tonight, but as we continue to work on this partnership, I think what's best is when we think about hosting these events, right? Trying to get, as you guys kind of alluded to earlier, as many of the different stakeholders here to make sure that we can capture as many people. So what I'm thinking about in terms of successful events, like if we do the walk, if we do the forum, if we have at the forum just different people who are selling their different cannabis products, and we kind of advertise that. So there is some impetus why I should come there other than just to get a lecture. I mean, people left school years ago and they're not trying to go back.
Right.
But it's same thing with the walk. If there is a destination that we're trying to go to, and this is what's going to happen at the end of the destination, that seems to be enticing to most folks. So as much as I would love, and I think I'm a charismatic teacher, and I would love to have all these people in here, that doesn't seem to bring people to the classroom, so to speak. So I understand that we got to offer something more. And so I think that's where Jeff does a great job, as he does many great jobs. He's been able to get a lot of these stakeholders to come to different events and just sell their products and talk to people. And we've seen just so many people just from the neighborhood just be like, yeah, let me check that out. Let me go in there.
Distribution at your events?
We have people that come there and talk about distribution, right? We talk about people who are doing delivery services, right?
But they're not
And how they're
selling.
trying to.
Are they selling at these events?
People are selling some products at these events, yeah.
What? They told us that wasn't legal. We were working with Happy Monkey.
Jeff, you want to chime in on that? I've seen it happen.
Yeah. So let's talk. So let's talk about what's going on. At the beginning, it was a free-for-all, so everybody did everything. And this is actually something that I wanted to mention that is now actually possible, that I wanted to lead into where you were going with some of these other events and where Sean was heading. In the last legislative session, they re-upped what we call cannabis grower showcases. They're actually calling it something else now, but it's effectively a cannabis farmer's market. And this, I think, would be a tremendous opportunity. As you're saying, what type of thing are people going to come out? This is a place where you need a retailer and a grower and a processor. It could be Happy Monkey and some processor and some cultivator, and it could be at some location there that we've selected. I did when some of the cannabis grower showcases that happened when they were available before. I was at a great one on Staten Island. They had ones at all kinds of places upstate. Yeah, it was at the baseball stadium in Staten Island. Yeah, so I think this is something that we should consider and plan for. Now, to be very clear on where the status of that is, The legislature just re-upped the law. The governor unfortunately didn't sign it until the clock turned at 25, which means the legislature had to pass it again. But at least now it's all done. And we're waiting for the regulator to do the regulations for these things. They just proposed the first batch of those regulations, the last Cannabis Control Board meeting earlier in May. That means they go to the state register, and everybody that follows the regulatory review process, we got 60 days of public comment and this and that and back and forth. But we are hopefully optimistic that come the fall, these things are going to be on again. And I think a fantastic way for a community board to do these kinds of community outreaches, and to Sean's point, that will draw people, is you partner with one of your local dispensaries. And I don't know that you have cultivators or processors within your footprint, but they can find the cultivator and processor that would want to be involved. Yep. And then on a quasi-regular basis, and I leave it up to you guys to determine what that is, you guys host a cannabis grower showcase, like literally the CB's Cannabis Grower Showcase, and you call it a community event. I get you will get pushback from the people in the community that don't want this, and obviously that's a battle to be fought.
Yeah, that's
but I think this would be a tremendous way to draw a very large audience to the education, to the outreach, to the legal information we want to provide. And yes, at those events, you will have 100% legal cannabis for sale, 100%.
So really quickly, so we can't do that in the park because we can't smoke in a park, from what I understand. And that was not from previous conversation. I've just known that for a while. So we'd have to find a private lot to do this in, and we've also had challenges with that.
Well, so the question is if you don't allow consumption, I mean, I don't know how Park Service is going to feel about it. I mean, the Parks Department's they're not going to be very excited, but if you didn't consume, I think you probably could do it in a park, but I don't think Parks is going to want you doing that anyway. But so yes, we would look for another location. I mean, in theory, could you shut it down, a street down like a street fair and do that? I think that might be possible. Is there a farmer's market? Is there a farmer's market in your
Yeah, there's an Inwood farmers market that does that. Yeah. Have you seen anyone else shut down a street in the city and be able to do consumption like this? Is that a precedent?
Well, so again, the grower showcase is not consumption. It is for sale. And technically you're not allowed to have consumption as part of the grower showcase. Right. But to your point before, somebody steps right outside the demarcated area for the grower showcase on a sidewalk that's not around a park, and lights up, and they're good to go.
So you just shut down the street and leave a third of it open to the public.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of ideas here. I would definitely communicate with the city. We do have to see what the final regulations are going to be as far as, can you shut down streets? I don't see why you couldn't be. We shut them down for other things, right? Yeah. So, I mean, these would be things to do in partnership with the city and Parks if you want to bring in Parks, but not if you don't want to bring in Parks, with one of the dispensaries that's within your footprint, because the grower showcase needs at a minimum a dispensary, a cultivator, and a processor.
So when are these showcases available to get the license? Is it a license or a permit?
It's a temporary, we could call it whatever we want. I like to call it a permit because it differentiates it from the license, right. Which you need to run the stores and whatnot. It's not available yet. They were the year that it was available, I think, was 23, because it's sunset. They sunset it, but in the 24 legislative session, they passed a new law bringing them back permanently. Okay. But what we're waiting for now is the regulator to create the regs around them, which I can send you the regs about if you want. I'll go before this Zoom closes.
I'm good.
You good? Okay.
I'm good, but thank you for that.
I mean, I think it's worth you guys looking at it, because it'll answer some of these questions about where we can do it and what the hours are and how it's going to work. But again, we have to go through the regulatory process. Our hope is that they're going to have the regs done by this fall. That is our hope.
Okay, cool. So then, because we were just having our conversation about timing of when we would do this, and if this showcase timing is more akin to having it in the spring, or it's better to have it in the spring because these will be open and running by then. We won't be one of the first to try it. There'll be people already kind of going through with it. We might want to do the forum in the spring and shut down a street, get the showcase license, and just do that. That could be interesting, because doing like a forum outside, like setting up like a little stage, we can make that, because we do have a small budget. All right, listen, guys, it's 7:34, and I'm sure that everyone's got places to be. Sean, anything else you want to add to the piece of the agenda here, bud? I think this has been an amazing conversation from the get, really.
No, I just want to thank you all for your time, and I appreciate it and look forward to speaking to you all again in the near future.
Oh, will do. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
first Mondays every month starting in September. I think we're on the same time slot.
Yeah.
But even we'll probably be talking before then anyway, especially if we decide to do the forum. So listen, I'm gonna move this, get us out of here.
Second.
Open discuss. Oh yeah. Hey Hector, are you still there by chance?
Yes, I am.
Yo, can you give us a motion to adjourn? Carl, second.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Call this meeting closed. 7:35. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank
Amazing
you all.
meeting to end out the session. Really appreciate you all.
Thank you all.
And just, I get you may not want them, but there's the regs.
All
Chat
right.
if you want them. Yeah.
Twist my arm.
Yeah. Send the regs anyway.
They're
No,
in
they're
the
there.
chat.
They're in the chat. In the chat.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, he put it on the chat, perfect.
Awesome.
Oh, see you.
Thank
Thank
you
you all.
guys. Thank you everyone.